We flipped our lives upside down, from the rugged Rocky Mountains of Canada to Australia's wild west coast.
The Wild West.
In search of opportunity. Little did we know we were about to breathe life into a broken dream.
Welcome to Carnarvon. It just happens to be a 42-foot steel Swanson for sale.
It's way larger than I anticipated.
The 5 horses ripping now!
If you'd asked us 8 months ago whether we would move down under and seize a second chance at sailing around the world, we would have laughed.
We ran aground!
Save your day!
Action! And the anchor's up!
Join us as we buy a heritage Bluewater vessel and resurrect Project Freewheel.
Great motor. Excited, nervous. Follow along. Let's get her done. We've got to give it a try. What's worse can happen?
We're Jobbo and Cheryl. Welcome to Carnarvon. We are currently 900 kilometres north of Perth and right by the Indian Ocean. We're aboard our new boat, Naughty Girl, soon to be renamed Freewheel, a Swanson 42 steel hull Bluewater sailboat. Before we dive in, we want to share our story and catch you up. Whether you're new here, followed for our bike films, or jumped on board for our 2019 sailing season, we're excited for you to join us on this new chapter. Shall we get cracking? Alright, roll film. Jobbo and I locked eyes at Whistler Mountain Bike Park in 2016. Two random souls chasing a kid-like dream to ride bikes every day. That summer was all love, bikes, beers, and binge-watching sailing YouTube channels.
Sailing around the globe. Step 1. Learn to sail. Here we are at the lovely Whistler Sailing Club.
One starry night, Jobbo turned to me and said, "Fancy sailing around the world?" Without missing a beat, I shot back, "Guy." Life was a blissful blur until Old Man Winter barged in and ended our seasonal lodgings.
Here we go, van slam, build day 1.
Jobbo bought us a van, fitted it out from scratch, and we moved in together. Reality hit like a sledgehammer. We were broke, indebted, and basically homeless. But we didn't flinch. We set our sights on a dream that seemed impossible: sailing around the world. We left our Whistler dreams behind and hustled in the frigid north of Alberta for 2 years.
Welcome to the top!
Scraping together every hard-earned penny.
Not the nicest of days today. You've got a few icicles on your face.
A bit, eh?
Glacier fresh.
By May of 2019, against all odds, we saved enough to buy our first sailboat. We left Fort McMurray and headed back west to Vancouver to learn how to sail.
Back on Paragon.
Day skipper, day 1 of day skipper day 5.
Quite a lot of intense stuff today and really high winds, 25 to 30 knots. And now we're at Gambier Island. Looking forward to learning a bit more and getting our licence at the end of the week.
Armed with shiny new skipper's licences and a laughable 9 days of sailing experience, we sold our van, flew to Croatia and secured an Elan Impressions.
Getting pretty excited now. Finally flying to the boat. Going to be on it tomorrow. This time tomorrow we're going to be on board our boat.
All ships and we who venture upon your vast domain are required to pay homage.
Got some rum for you. Woo!
Stepping onto our vessel in the Mediterranean was surreal. boat life rewarded us with moments of pure, unbridled joy.
Look at these conditions, light winds, smooth seas. They ain't bad for a beginner.
And challenges that tested every fibre of our being, bonding us to each other and the sea.
Nature is a crazy beast.
Wait, let's see if she goes.
And it's been interesting to push Cheryl and myself as a team, working together on a new boat. But here we are.
We were hooked. After 6 months of cutting our teeth from Croatia to Sicily, racking up a respectable 2,500 nautical miles, predictably, savings dried up.
That's it, everything's pulled down and packed up and we're out of here.
We trudged back to work that winter, steadfastly focused on next season's voyage. 2020 rolled in, bringing with it a tsunami of disappointment. Our plans to return to Freewheel were crushed. Like everyone else, we were stuck in a world turned upside down. And with no end in sight, we made the gut-wrenching decision to sell our beloved Freewheel in 2022. It was a bitter pill to swallow. But moping isn't our style. We did what we always do. Bought and outfitted another van.
Surprise, we got another van, our land yacht.
Found a cheap mountain town in BC to ride bikes and dove into a new chapter.
Pushing to the front, look at your exit.
Life had us buying our first house. Tying the knot. And finding a community that felt like home. Yet our hearts still yearned for the sea. You can't sail a house, after all. With post-COVID making the economy a wildcard, we hunted for new opportunities. Friends whispered of a mining boom on the west coast of Australia, and so we uprooted our lives again and headed down under. The housing crisis had us scrambling, so we gratefully borrowed Jobbo's parents' van and caravan, and began the 4,000-kilometre cross-continental trek across Australia. From lush east coast rainforests through the arid outback's red desert, we journeyed to the stunning coastal cliffs and pristine beaches of the wild west coast. The Indian Ocean cast its liquid sapphire spell upon us. Jobbo and I stood on the shore of Fremantle, locked in silent agreement. Should we get another boat?
Let's do it. Off to the big smoke.
Middle of nowhere.
Howdy.
So, what did you make of that little trip down memory lane?
Yeah, it's cool. It really, you see how far we've come. How far we've come. No, just always love a nice flashback reel.
We appreciate you taking some time to listen to our story. We figured we'd open up the channel with a little bit of context, who we are, how we ended up here, give you guys a chance to get to know us a little bit. Because I guess Jobbo and I's relationship started off with the premise that we were going to buy this boat.
Boat 2.0.
Yeah. So where are we just now?
Right now we're
In the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, on the top
middle of nowhere.
On the top of a hill, just south of the middle of nowhere. So I think we're like 150k south of Carnarvon. We're back on the road because I found work in the mines, and to get up there, they flies from Perth. So I kind of have to do a 1,000k commute to work, which is pretty ridiculous. I don't know how many people are doing that, but short term, so we can get this boat dream alive.
We're in Carnarvon. That's where we bought the boat. And initially we wanted to hustle the boat down to Perth in a little place called Rockingham, which is a little bit south of Perth.
What are we doing on Friday?
Friday, interesting one too. We're off on a little drive, casual 1,000k up the coast, off to a wee town called Carnarvon. Carnarvon. And there just happens to be a 42-foot steel Swanson for sale up there. So we're gonna have a little looky-loo. What do you reckon? Good idea to buy a boat?
Yeah.
Well, maybe in a short time there'll be a little boaty boat out there somewhere. What do you think? Good vlogging?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, we're done vlogging now. Stop.
We bought this boat probably about a year before we should have, and it was a bit on a whim anyway, but we saw an opportunity and we just sort of grabbed it.
So I'm the captain.
Decided that we would figure out how to pay for it later. Because initially we weren't meant to be in Australia for a long time. We just came here for winter. Let's go back to Canada, cashed up and continue our lives there, but things changed pretty rapidly. The other reason why we haven't gotten down to Rockingham so far is because after we bought the boat, we realised how formidable this coastline was. And it has quite the reputation, the Wild West coast.
Well, we knew it was formidable, right? The Indian Ocean's no joke.
No.
You know, there's nothing between here, Antarctica and Africa. So it's a big bit of ocean. So there's big swell, you know, big waves, big weather systems roll through here. We knew it. Now, as we know, the weather system's a little better. Perth is known in the winter, Australian winter, for having a lot of storms roll in. These big consecutive fronts coming off the Indian, a lot of wind, a lot of rain, and it makes Perth, you know, a crappy place in winter to live on a boat. Not because it's necessarily cold, but just it's real stormy. Whereas up the coast here in Carnarvon, it's awesome. Everyone comes up here during the summer.
So we're really excited because, well, we've been able to live on the boat now for 3 months.
Yeah.
We've been pretty strapped for cash because we flipped our lives upside down, and I've just received my bridging visa. I've been applying for a spousal visa. So I'm now officially able to work. So I'm getting all ticketed up and able to get to work so we can pay off this boat loan and save up some money so that we can move on with the project.
You know, we went for this boat because it's got, you know, it's an awesome Bluewater boat. Like Swanson's in Australia, well known for being round the world kind of boats. And obviously on the west coast there's less people, so these style of boat don't often come up. So when we saw this Swanson for sale, like it really kind of pushed our hand and we didn't want to let it go. So we feel pretty grateful to be able to snap it up.
We've got amazing liveaboard potential. There's so much storage. Now we've got a few paychecks coming in. It's starting to get real. So yeah, we're heading down to Perth now. You're going to work on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Everything's starting to move forward now. The short term is that we're going down to Perth. We're going to be living and working there for a year. One of the other reasons why we kind of ended up doing this. The housing crisis here is pretty intense. The boat idea kind of solved that problem. Yeah, that'll be exciting. So we'll have somewhere to stay free of charge and be able to go out sailing within about a year once we've saved off enough money and we've done all the upgrades that we want. The plan initially was to get up into Asia, which is still part of the plan, but now that we've been on this west coast for a little while, we've heard lots of good things and watched lots of good videos on the Kimberley region up here, which we didn't know about before. Or maybe you did a little bit, but...
Yeah, well, the Kimberley is like the very northwest bit of Australia. So it's west of Darwin and way up the coast from Perth. You know, it's just a section that's known for crazy big tides and big cliffs and lots of crocodiles and just a really spectacular landscape. And that's not to say all the other island chains that are out there, like the Montebello's, and there's just so many good gems. So it kind of changed our plan a little bit. We're thinking we're just going to rip up here, up the coast and you know, head to Asia and see what everything's in store, you know, in the Asia Pacific region.
So now you're watching videos and seeing how remote the location is, and, you know, it's a good challenge and project as well to get the boat fully stocked up for a mission like that, because you could spend, I think, anywhere between 3 and 6 months people spend there. We obviously want to keep you guys interested over the course of a year while we work and do upgrades to the boat and hopefully have enough content. So
definitely be some boat work videos.
Yeah, for sure.
Lots of plans for solar and water makers and batteries and solar arch and davits and
hopefully a few exciting sails as well, like Rottnest is going to be on our horizon and the Abrolhos Islands, and then our imminent big mission is getting the boat down to Perth via Geraldton in September, and Jobbo's only got a week off work. He's working a 2-in-1, so that's going to be a challenge. Hopefully we get the weather window. Stay tuned for that. That's going to be a really exciting sail. Nerve-wracking. We have a beautiful boat. Naughty Girl is amazing. The owners, I'd consider them friends, and we'll be keeping in touch with them. They're quite the adventurers themselves. Yeah, I think that's about it. Bye.
Just had to throw a shocker in.
Back to Perth.
Thanks for watching. Next time we take you back to Australia in May 2024. After wrapping up our lives a second time in Canada, we'll be diving into some pre-work on our new boat.
We're on our boat.
So hopefully get the primer on and slap on a little bit of anti-foul and aim to get the boat in by the end of the week into the water, at least.
If you liked our little trip down memory lane and want to see where this sizable life pivot takes us, subscribe, like the video, and leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Catch you next time.